Wait, okay.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
I was walking with my baby down the side of San Francisco Bay. Ocean liner took me so far away. Didn't mean to make her so mad. She was the best gal I ever had. You know, she made me sigh, made me cry, made me want to lay right down and die. Well, I ain't got a nickel and I ain't got a lousy dime. Oh, I believe I'm about to lose my mind. If she ever come back to stay, there's gonna be another brand new day. Walking with my baby down the side of San Francisco Bay. Do-da-da-da-da-dee-da-da-da-dee-da-da-dum. Dee-da-dee-da-dee-da-dee-da-da-dum. I was walking with my baby down the side of San Francisco Bay. Ocean liner took me so far away. Didn't mean to make her so mad. She was the best gal I ever had. You know, she made me sigh, made me cry, made me want to lay right down and die. Well, I ain't got a nickel and I ain't got a lousy dime. Oh, I believe I'm about to lose my mind, and I didn't start too much. If she ever come back to stay, it's gonna be another brand new day. Walking with my baby down the side of San Francisco. Walking with my baby down the side of San Francisco. Walking with my baby down the side of San Francisco Bay.
Welcome to the Klondike Experience.
Hi.
Are you having a good morning?
Yes.
Okay. What we're going to do here is I'm going to give you a little bit of history. Then we're going to have the actors come out and make a presentation. They call it acting. Okay. A little bit of history. In 1897, our nation was deep in economic depression. People who had money lost it. People who had jobs lost those. If you were male and lucky enough to have a job, you could make about $1 a day. If you were female, there was pretty much nothing available. Then in July of 1898, the steamship Portland pulled into the Seattle harbor, and the headlines in the newspapers read, "Gold, gold, gold, gold in the Yukon." They said there was 1 ton of gold aboard the Portland, and in fact, there were 2 tons of gold. 100,000 people attempted to come up to this gold rush. About half of them made it. Of that number, about 4,000 actually found gold, and of that 4,000, about 200 found enough that could be called rich. Of that 200, about 20 actually kept that money. Have you ever heard of Grauman's Chinese Theater in Hollywood, where stars write their name in cement? Sid Grauman's money came from this gold rush. Have you heard of Pantages Theaters? Alexander Pantages. You've never heard of Pantages Theaters? Well, he was a famous international theater provider, yes. And his money came from this gold rush. How about Nordstrom's? Have you heard of that one?
Oh,
My wife has.
Yeah? John T. Nordstrom's money came from this gold rush. What we're going to do here is we're going to take you back in time to 1898. You're going to follow a young stampeder named Jed through this Klondike Experience. So if you have cell phones or pagers, please turn those off. They did not exist. However, feel free to take all the flash photography you would like, because they did have flash photography back then. We are now on the docks of Seattle. That you didn't even know we went back there. We did. This is a steamship Portland. You're going to be boarding this in just a few minutes, and once we board the Portland, you're going to see some actual film footage shot by Thomas Edison. Some of the oldest footage that we know of that exists of that voyage from Seattle to Skagway. Then we're going to go into the Malamute Saloon, and we're going to see a recreation of the shooting of Dan McGrew by Robert Service. Do you know who Robert Service was?
Yeah.
Famous Gold Rush poet. The key words here are shooting. There's going to be gunshots. But I'll tell you a little secret. They're pretend. Nobody actually dies. So any of you guys that are holding, no shooting back. But it makes a loud noise. There are peanuts on the table. Feel free to eat all the peanuts that you would like, as long as you're not allergic to peanuts. If you're allergic to peanuts, don't eat the peanuts. You wouldn't think you'd have to say that out loud, right? Trust me, you do. So, you're not allergic to them, eat all the peanuts you want. Then we're going to go into a gold mine, and you're going to learn how to mine for gold, and then we're going to pan for gold. And we guarantee gold. So if you hit big, and you're one of the 20, I'm going to be your new best friend. One last thing, you know who Jefferson Randolph Soapy Smith was?
Yeah.
No? He was our resident bad guy in 1898. Con man extraordinaire. You're going to meet him in there, so watch your wallets. He had about 300 people in his employ. One was called the Reverend Charlie Bowers. When he comes out, watch your wallets. Okay, if there aren't any other questions, then, with a round of applause, let's bring out our actors.
Oh, God bless you. Oh, especially you. You scared me.
Well, I'm sorry.
Him too. Well, good day, son. I gather from your appearance you're bound for the promised land. Klondike.
Why, yes, sir, I am.
Well, I'm Reverend Bowers.
Oh, Jedediah Robertson.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Well, I hear there's a fortune of gold in the Yukon.
You have? Well, my eager and strong young friend, I have seen the wilds of Alaska and the Yukon.
You have?
Oh, yes, sir, I have. And you may benefit from my experience. Besides, it is my Christian duty to aid my fellow man, such as you, along the byroads of this often perilous existence.
Perilous?
Those crooks,
Well, what's
those
it like?
scoundrels,
The Yukon.
And what? While it is the most beautiful and rewarding of God's many creations, it is also filled with many unknowns. Now, I must warn you, the bounties of the land up north have attracted some unsavory characters with evil intent. The crooks and scoundrels there will surely prey upon those such as yourself. So, you must beware that they will try to rob you of your goods or even threaten your very existence.
Ah, well, I had no idea. Oh, well, I had no idea it could be so dangerous.
Oh, it's true.
I had no idea.
So heed my word. Nevertheless, there is safety in the store. When you get to Skagway, be sure to contact a fine, upstanding gentleman and very dear friend of my own by the name of Jefferson Randolph Smith. He's known by many as Soapy Smith.
Soapy? Well, why Soapy?
Because he's so well. He's been washed clean by his many good deeds. You see, he is a gentleman of first rate who has taken it upon himself to aid the inexperienced traveler, such as yourself and these other fine people waiting to board the Portland. Now put your trust in him and God, and he will not be led astray. Now if you see him in Skagway, let him know about our conversation. He'll be sure to help you.
Okay, I will.
now available for boarding. Please gather all your belongings and follow me to the gangway.
Oh, that sounds like you, young man. May God bless you on your journey. Don't forget to be careful.
Oh, well, I won't. And thank you once again.
Bye.
Well, here I am on the edge of the Pacific Ocean, still amazed at how I ever got from the farm to this ship. But I'm sure I've read all I need to know in order to make my fortune in the gold fields. I can just see myself on my journey up to the Klondike. Adventure, here I come. More gold than anyone has ever seen, just waiting to be gathered up. Gold, my fortune. Ah, yes, my triumphant return to the state. Annie Mae will surely be mine. At last, my dream will come true.
Look alive on deck. We're bringing aboard a large crate.
In August of 1896, on a small branch of the remote Klondike River, 3 men discovered what would prove to be the largest concentration of gold ever found. 2 steamships brought the prospectors south in the summer of 1897. One, the SS Portland, landed in Seattle on July 17. Newspapers told the story of more than a ton of gold aboard the Portland. The story was quickly relayed around the world by telegraph and mail. Thousands of men and women dropped everything, traveled to Seattle to book passage north to Alaska and the Klondike. Gold fever swept across the world, a fever that drives men crazy. Any old bucket that would float was pressed into service to meet the demand for passage to the gold fields. Women who made the journey were advised to bring particular items for their personal comfort. Hundreds of thousands started for the Klondike, but most made it only part of the way. The 30,000 who did make it to Dawson City found little gold. Only a few became very rich. Hardship and disappointment marked the journey of most stampeders. The real legacy of the Klondike Gold Rush is its story, immortalized in poetry, songs, books, and motion pictures. The story of the Gold Rush is an American epic. Prepare to share the adventure.
Prepare to bring the anchor aboard. Cast off.
It is late in the fall. The normal summer season for the steamships is over. During any other year, they would be headed south. Now every available vessel is overloaded and headed north. During this time of year, the weather is fierce. Even with the protection of the outer islands, the wind and cold cut to the bone. Despite the conditions, the scenery is magnificent. However, most passengers don't even notice. They are dreaming the dreams of wealth that few men dare to dream. As the fleet continues north, the temperature continues its decline. It could go to 50 degrees below zero. Ice may form on the rigging of the ship. As the ship gets closer to Skagway, prevailing ocean currents bring weather that is a little more agreeable, but still a little comfort. Skagway is the major jumping-off point, the gateway to the Klondike. This small village has grown from a population of 5 to 5,000 within a month in the fall of 1897. By early 1898, Skagway was proclaiming itself the San Francisco of Alaska, with a population of around 10,000. It is crowded, muddy, and filled with scoundrels, but it is land.
Skagway's dead ahead. We'll be at the dock in a few minutes.
he had a full house.
Oh, look, everybody, we're here. Come on, let's go.
I saw he had 3 aces.
Yeah?
Yes, I was standing near the back of the room.
Near the back of the
Yes, oh! Clementine, look, the ship has arrived. Fantastic. How do you do, young man? Yes, oh, wonderful. How do you do, young man?
Oh, great, thanks.
Good. What's your name?
Nathan.
Nathan. Jack. Pleasure to meet you. Where are you from, Nathan?
Ogden, Utah.
Ogden, Utah. Fantastic. Utah was a beautiful state. I was there twice last year, and it was beautiful both times. And how do you do, sir?
Good day, good day.
Oh, very good. Oh, that's quite a handshake you've got there, sir. What's your name?
Joe.
Joe. And where are you from, Joe?
Topeka.
Topeka. Oh, I'm not familiar with that place. You, man, beautiful lady. How do you do?
Fine.
What's your name?
Paris?
Karis. Well, I'm Jeff. It's a pleasure to meet you, Karis. Oh, are we all here? Fantastic. Well, wonderful. Welcome all of you to my city, Skagway. Now, I hope that you've had a passable voyage.
Yeah.
Yes? Oh, good. Wonderful. Fantastic. Now, let me introduce to you, and Joe, I think you're going to like her, my charming associate, Clementine. And my name is Jefferson Randolph Smith. Though my associates just call me Jeff, you may have heard of me.
Are you Sophie Smith?
Some folks do call me that, yes.
Oh, well, I'll be hogtied. I hope to find you. Well, one of your associates, Mr. Bowers, Reverend Bowers, told me to find you when I got here to Skagway.
Did he?
Uh-huh.
Good old Charlie. Well, how fortunate for you, young
Jedediah Robertson, but my family just calls me Jed.
Well, Jeremiah Robinson, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Well, aren't you a looker, huh?
I guess.
Where do you come from, cutie?
Illinois?
Illinois? Oh, I like a man who makes a little noise. Oh, I like that noise.
Anyone else here from Illinois today? Nope. Oh, good. Where is everyone from now? You were from Utah, Ogden, a place I hadn't heard of, Denver. And you, sir?
Grable, Wyoming.
Ah, Grable, Wyoming. Yes, big sky country.
No, that's to the north of us.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Forgive me. Montana, that's right. Well, the city fathers of this fair outpost, the great white north, asked me to greet you all upon your arrival. Now, please be ensured that your every need shall be met, and your every one fulfilled. My associates, like the good Reverend Bowers, right here.
Charlie!
We'll see to it. You all take care of it.
Well, I didn't know you were coming here, too.
Yes, now, I assume that you're probably eager to get on the trail up to the gold fields as soon as possible. Is that right, Nathan?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. There are a few things that you may wish to know before you start that trek further north, and I can tell you all, from my own personal experience, that it is a challenge of monumental proportions.
Hazards abound at every turn of the trail. Now, one wrong step, and you could all be finished.
That's right.
Now, Jefferson,
Yes.
weren't you telling me in your last telegram to me in Seattle that several of the water springs in the White Pass Trail have gone bad, or even worse, poisoned?
Oh, yes, Charlie, that's right. And my friends, that is just one of the reasons why you must all beware. But luckily, however, the Information Bureau, just down Broadway Street, sells maps which will show where those tainted springs can be found. That information will enable you to make a safe and healthy ascent. And friends, be sure to take the White Pass Trail leading out of Skagway. The White Pass is a much safer and a much easier route than the Chilkoot Trail, 10 miles away in Daive.
Oh, Jefferson.
Yes.
What about telegrams home?
Oh, thank you, good Reverend. Yes, that's right. Now, do any of you have families or loved ones back at home? Well, nobody loves you? Oh, well, you can talk to me later, because I might have a job for you. But the rest of you, if you'd like to send your loved ones a telegram at this time, let them know you've arrived here safely, that can be done inside our telegraph office for a minimal fee.
Well, I do.
Oh, do you?
Yes. Well, I would like to tell Annie Mae that I am making progress away to our fortune and betrothal.
Oh.
I have this message all written out right here.
Yes, yeah, I should have worn my glasses. Now, your name was,
Jed.
That's right. Ted. No. Why don't you give that to the good Reverend there? And he'll see to it that when the selection is back on the premises, that gets sent out on the wires as soon as possible. And we can guarantee to you a response to your sent telegram within 3 hours. And the cost is only $5. A remarkable bargain which you will not find in New York City, San Francisco, Ogden, Grable, Denver, or wherever it is you happen to come from. And that includes Springfield.
Oh, of course.
Apparently they're a little slower in Illinois.
What was that?
Now, my friends, I have to let you know that you're going to need to acquire additional goods and supplies before you start your trip to Dawson, where the gold fields await. Now, if I could have one of you, let me see. Well, maybe. Oh yes. Now, why don't you step over there, try on that parking.
Oh, my, you nervous.
I didn't mean to. Well, the Reverend pushed me.
Bite your tongue, that'd be the good, Reverend. Now, put your arm right through there.
Yeah, looks like it's perfect.
How does that feel, Red?
Well, I can't
I don't know if
see
you can
anything.
hear him over there, but he's saying it's very comfortable.
No, I
Right,
didn't.
it's
I said
real
I
cold
can't
on that
see,
head, so
but
you'll need a parka. Now, how does that feel, Precious?
it was kind of hard to breathe.
Well, that's
Oh,
right.
it's real
It's
cold.
bad. Justin,
Yeah.
give me a hand. This thing is really heavy.
Absolutely.
Just lift with your knee.
Thank you. Yeah. Oh, wow. Whatever it is.
What is this?
What?
Oh, this is really heavy. Well, maybe we could put it on carrots instead.
Once again, the perfect. Okay. Now again, friends, you must be prepared before you start your journey. You can purchase this sturdy pack and this warm pocket and everything else you need right across the street here at the Merchants Exchange. Yes, fine folks, sell first quality goods. And they're very fairly priced. Yes, they have the best picks, pans, and cord goods this side of Seattle.
And the canned goods are excellent too.
Boots and outerwear are also available, as well as all of your bibbles right over here.
Your Bibles, folks, your
I
Bibles.
most recommend caution, however, in patronizing the other merchants in town, as sadly they are going to charge you top dollar for inferior goods. So once again, you must beware.
Well, what's in all my supplies when I do that?
Yeah, excellent question, Fred. You'll need help transporting your whole lot over the White Pass, as it is such a, well, a difficult undertaking. So, I have arranged for you all firm, reliable packers to aid you in your transport. For a small and reasonable fee, of course.
Yes, but money well spent.
That's absolutely right. There are honored God-fearing men of the highest degree of integrity. And the good Reverend here, gladly vouch for anyone. Reverend!
Oh, put that down, put that down. Oh, how would you folks like to see a little bit of harmless entertainment? How does that sound?
Yeah.
Yes, sounds good to me too. Oh, you two. All right, now, let me see. I am going to need someone to help me play this game.
Oh, I can help you.
Perhaps somebody would like to volunteer.
Well, I'll volunteer. I'd like to help.
Out there, anybody?
Oh, me in the back, waving the hat.
Very well then, the beautiful lady Karis, wasn't it?
Come on up here,
Why don't you
sweetheart.
come up here and play this game? Oh, fantastic. Wonderful. Now, here's how the game is played, Karis. Under this shell and under this shell, I have nothing. However, under this shell, I have a pea. Now, what I'm going to do is move around all these shells very quickly. What you are going to do is keep your eyes on this particular shell and tell me where it lands when I'm done. Do you think that you can do that?
Yeah.
Yes, you
Yeah,
can. All
okay.
right, fantastic, wonderful. And one last time, just to help you out. There's the pea. Now, watch it. All right, here we go. Oh, off. Good start. Yes. Now, one more time for luck. My luck, not your luck. Now, you get a little faster. You start to get dizzy. You get confused, and you lost track of the pea. Now, point to the shell that you think it was.
The middle one.
The
The
middle
middle
one.
one. Karen, I was watching pretty
I
close
think it was
there.
under the
Failed.
shell.
So that's
Oh,
all
yeah,
you
but I look at the middle one, but I don't think. Oh my God! Congratulations, Karis. That is amazing. No one has done that in a month.
Oh, well, I bet I can do that.
Oh, you bet you can.
Uh-huh.
I'm not really a betting man. I gave it up when I went through Utah. But since you seem so insistent, I'm willing to oblige your offer. And what should we say? $5?
Oh, no, I really should.
Oh, sure you should, sweetie. Oh, do it for me, sugar lips. Do it for your Annie Mae.
Oh, okay. For Annie Mae. Well, Karis, was this game easy?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good, because I don't want to lose my $5, so I'm going to need everybody's help.
Oh, nonsense. I'm sure I'll lose my $5 just as soon as you win, but that's all right because I like it. Now, here we go. There's nothing, and of course, there's the Pete. Now, are you ready, Max?
Oh, it's Jed.
No, it's Jeff. Illinois. All right, one last time, there you go. Now watch it. All right, here we go. Oh, off to a good start. Yeah. Now, one more time for luck. My luck, not your luck. And we get a little faster. You start to get dizzy. You get confused, and you lost track of the P. Now, point to the shell that you think was under.
Oh, well, I think it was the middle one again, wasn't it? Anyone see? It was. Oh, well, the middle one then.
Middle one then.
Well, that was an
Right,
easy
there we go.
pop.
Oh! No,
What?
actually it was under that shelf.
Don't you worry about that, honey. There's plenty more money where that came from.
I am so sorry, Jedediah. Better luck next time.
But it looks so easy.
Your looks can be deceiving.
Ain't that the truth?
Now, friends, on a more serious note, I know we've only known each other very briefly, but well, I feel very close to you all. If any of you should suffer the unfortunate experience of encountering some form of disaster,
God forbid!
yes, it leaves you extremely embarrassed for lack of funds, and you must return home, then please note, the cutlery ticket office right down the street here, because these kind and generous folks will find a way to get you on a ship back to the States, regardless of your financial situation. Now, we have any investors here. There is a bridge for sale.
No more items.
Oh, well, you know, I just thought that, I really ought to go check the progress of this young man's telegram.
Oh, well, 3 hours.
Yes, guaranteed. But it's been a real pleasure chatting with you all, and enjoy your stay in Skagway.
You want to take the white pass straight?
Now, I will be right back, Snuggle Pea.
Think she likes me.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Skagway. I'm Sergeant Porter of the Northwest Mounted Police. It is also my pleasure to welcome you to Canada, as many of you will soon be entering our beautiful country. Now, there are a couple things you need to know. First, our government, in order for you to survive unaided in the Yukon Territory for a long period of time, has now made it mandatory that each of you possess a certain quantity of goods and provisions. 1 ton each to be exact, that's the 1 ton law. Now, you must demonstrate that you have this ton of goods before you will be allowed to enter our country. Now, you should have been given a list of the necessary provisions. May I, sir? But you might want to check this list over to make sure that you're totally prepared and equipped. For example, sir, do you have 200 pounds of bacon?
Right here.
Ladies and gentlemen, please follow this good man's example. Now, I must also in good conscience point out that the gentleman you were listening to when I first arrived was none other than the infamous Jefferson Randolph Smith.
But he gave us some invaluable information to aid us.
Be careful how much of what you heard him say that you take to heart. The man that they call Soapy Smith is one of the slickest con men in all of North America. I'm sure he recommended businesses to aid you on your journey. I'm equally sure that all of those businesses are controlled by him, and none of them are legitimate.
None of them? Well, what about my telegram?
I'm sorry, son. There are no telegraph wires coming into Skagway. And the ones coming out of the back of this telegraph office go right into the canal.
Oh. Well, then what about the men that will help us with our goods over the pass? From the reliable packers.
No. People who take their goods to the reliable packers never see them again. I'm sure Soapy recommended you take the White Pass Trail as well, correct?
Why, yes, he did. Well, how did you know that?
Soapy wants you to take the White Pass Trail instead of the Chilkoot Trail because he has henchmen.
Frenchmen? What? Did he say Frenchmen? Oh,
Henchmen. Thank you, sir. Henchmen. Placed all along the trail ready to do you in and steal your supplies. You'll be much better off on the Chilkoot Trail. Now, folks, I'm sorry. I know this isn't a very pleasant welcome to Skagway, but you need to be aware of the dangers involved in your journey. But if you're ready to begin your journey, then please follow me this way, and I will help you to prepare for your trip to the gold fields. Right this way, folks. Right this way.
Well, my friends, we made it out of Skagway and over to Dyea. Now we need to cover the 30 miles to the base of the Chilkoot Pass. Some folks say this is the hardest 30 miles in the world. I hope you folks have been in the very good subjects you've seen. We'll have to be careful here. The snow freezes at night and melts during the day. It makes the going pretty tricky. Sometimes the trail is barely passable. This is not the walk in the park, which some of you might have imagined it to be. If we're lucky, we'll make it to the base of the Chilkoot Pass in one piece. Lucky enough to carry a ton of goods over the pass. The trail was hard, but this is one of the most trying challenges of the entire journey. Here we are in sheep camp, waiting for our turn to attack the sword. We hired porters to take our supplies up the pass, so all we have to do is get ourselves up to the top and over the pass into Canada. Here's our turn. Up we go. If you have to stop and rest, step off the trail to the side. Be warned, it may take you a while to get back in line. Wow, that was close. Is everyone all right? I think most of the avalanche went right over us. Let's see if we can get back on the trail. Welcome to Canada. Now the Mounties will weigh your supplies to see if you have 2,000 pounds each. Congratulations, you have been admitted. Going down the slope is easier. However, we still have to be very careful. The snow covers many a pitfall. The ice is still thick, so we'll continue on foot to Lake Canada. Level going at last. Now all we have to worry about is the ice breaking. We'll have to wait now until the ice goes out. We'll use the time to build a boat. Hand at the whipsaw. You know, it has been said that many a firm friendship has been torn apart by the whipsaw. And no matter what you do, it never seems like your partner is working as hard as you are. There goes the ice. Now we can get in our boat and float all the way to Dawson City. We were careful to follow the boat building instructions for the night. Now we'll see how she holds up. Well, the lake was nice and smooth. But the rapids are where many a stampeder has met his victim. Prepare to be soaked. Watch that rock on the left. Don't get caught in the whirlpool. Hook a line, man the oars. Pull to the right. Dawson City is coming up on the right. Thanks to your hard work and perseverance, you've made it. Now rest up here in Dawson and then spread out and find a good claim to work this summer. Here we are, folks.
Good, not too bad. How was your trip? A little wet?
Yes.
Well, come on into the Malamute Saloon. Let's have a bit of fun. I'm surprised to see so many smiling faces after that long journey. Peanuts. Make yourselves at home. There's plenty of peanuts. I hope you like peanuts. Do you like peanuts? I take that as a yes. Eat as many as you want. How are you doing? Are you comfortable?
Yes, I am.
Good. Eat as many peanuts as you want.
Here.
You like peanuts?
Oh, yeah.
Good. Well, eat as many as you want.
Right.
Are you all comfortable? Good. Well, okay, I'll get right on that. Well, if you will kindly excuse me, I have a friend over in the corner.
A bunch of the boys were whooping it up in the Malamute Saloon. The kid who handles the music box was hitting a jagtime tune. Back at the bar, in a solo game, sat dangerous Dan McGrew. And watching his luck was his lat-o-lo, the lady that's known as Lou. When out of the night, which was 50 below, and into the din and glare, there stumbled a miner, fresh from the creeks, dog dirty and loaded for bear. He looked like a man with a foot in the grave, and scarcely the strength of a louse. Yet he tasted a poke of dust on the bar and called for
Drinks for the house.
There was none could place the stranger's face, though we searched ourselves for a clue. But we drank his health, and the last to drink was Dangerous Dan McGrew. Now there's men that somehow just grip your eyes and hold them hard like a spell. And such was he. And he looked to me like a man who had lived in hell, with a face most hair and the dreary stare of a dog whose day is done, as he watered the green stuff in his glass, and the drops fell one by one. Then I got to figuring who he was, and wondering what he'd do, and I turned my head, and there watching him was the lady that's known as Lou. His eyes went rubbering round the room, and he seemed in a kind of a daze, till at last that old piano fell in the way of his wandering gaze. The ragtime kid was having a drink. There was no one else on the stool, so the stranger stumbles across the room and flops down there like a fool. In a buckskin shirt that was glazed with dirt, he sat, and I saw him sway. Then he clutched the keys with his taloned hands. My God, that man could play. Were you ever out in the great alone, when the moon was awful clear, and the icy mountains hemmed you in, with a silence you most could hear, with only the howl of a timber wolf, and you camped there in the cold, a half-dead thing, in a stark, dead world, clean mad for that muck called gold, while high overhead, green, yellow, and red, the north lights swept in bars? Then you've a hunch what that music meant. Hunger, and night, and the stars. But hunger not of the belly kind, that's banished with bacon and beans, but the gnawing hunger of lonely men, for a home and all that it means, for a fireside far from the cares that are, 4 walls and a roof above, but oh, so crammed full of cozy joy, and crowned with a woman's love. A woman dearer than all the world, as true as heaven is true. God how ghastly she looks through her rouge, the lady that's known as Lou. Then on a sudden, the music changed, so soft that you scarce could hear. But you felt your life had been looted clean of all that it once held dear. That someone had stolen the woman you loved, that her love was a devil's lie, that your guts were gone and the best for you was to crawl away and die. 'Twas the crowding cry of a heart's despair, and it thrilled you through and through.
Guess I'll make it a spread misere,
said Dangerous Dan McGrew. The music almost died away. Then it burst like a pent-up flood, and it seemed to say, repay, repay, and my eyes were blind with blood. And the thought came back of an ancient wrong, and it stung like a frozen lash. And the lust awoke to kill, and the music stopped with a crash. And the stranger turned, and his eyes, they burned in a most peculiar way. In a buckskin shirt that was glazed with dirt, he sat, and I saw him sway. Then his lips went in a kind of grin, and he spoke, and his voice was calm. And,
boys,
says he,
you don't know me, and none of you care a damn. But I want to state, and my words are straight, and I'll bet my poke they're true, that one of you is a hound of hell, and that one is Dan McGrew.
Then I ducked my head, and the lights went out, and two guns blazed in the dark, and a woman screamed, and the lights came up, and two men lay stiff and stark, pitched on his head, and pumped full of lead was Dangerous Dan McGrew, while the man from the creeks lay clutched to the breast of the lady that's known as Lou. Well, these are the simple facts of the case, and I guess I ought to know. Now they say the stranger was crazed with hooch, and I'm not denying that's so. Now I'm not so wise as them lawyer guys, but strictly between us two, the woman who kissed him and pinched his poke was the lady that's known as Lou.
This way, folks. The Mounties are coming to investigate this shooting, and their inquiries could delay you for days. If it's Klondike gold you seek, follow me to the diggings. Mining is hard work everywhere in the world, and here in the Klondike we think we might have it as tough, maybe a little tougher than most. We seek placer gold, and that's gold that is eroded off of the hills and mountainsides around us, washed into the creeks and river valleys. And as that gold makes its way downstream, along with sand and gravel in the riverbeds, it makes its way down through that sand and gravel because of its greater density. And when that gold comes to rest, well, it comes to rest on bedrock. That's where we find most of the gold in the Klondike, deposited on or near bedrock and covered by as much as 100 feet of river sediments. So we have to dig for that gold. We can't just pan for it on the surface in the sunshine. Well, we can't dig for it during the warm months of the year because water fills in the diggings. So we get to dig when everything's froze up solid in winter. We start a fire on the surface, of course, thaw out the ground and shovel that out and build another fire in the hole and work our way down. And when we can't shovel out anymore, we start filling up an ore bucket with that thawed out earth, and our partner on the surface winds it up with a windlass and dumps it over to one side, starts a pile. Then we work our way down to bedrock. There we pan to make sure we have found gold, because if there is no gold at the bottom of our shaft, we get to move over and dig another one. Now, when we find gold, and we do,
we'll dig a horizontal tunnel or drift along the trend of that pay streak, and all that gold-bearing sand and gravel goes up the shaft and is piled to one side to be washed when we have flowing water again. Now, if we're up on a bench away from the creek, we'll use a rocker to screen out the coarse gravel, and then we hand carry water to the rocker, wash the sand and gravel away, and the gold's retained behind the riffles in the bottom of the box. Now, if we're down on the creek, or we have a flume bringing us a constant supply of flowing water, we'll just shovel our gold-bearing sand and gravel into a sluice box, wash the sand and gravel away, and again, the gold is retained behind the riffles in the bottom of the box. Now, periodically, we'll empty these boxes out, find out how much gold we're going to take back to the Malamute Saloon and spend on whiskey and women. Now, we're going to give you all a chance to pan your own pay dirt here. I've got some pans primed and ready to go. If you'll come and get these, and step around the door to your right there, through the door, and then to the left. We'll all see if we can find some Klondike gold. I will be along to demonstrate, in case you are not experienced panners. Away we go.
Just come over here and find a trough.
Okay.
Okay, as I was saying, gold is quite dense. It's 19 times denser than water and 3 or 4 times denser than the sand and gravel that you got in your pans here. So, the way to get the gold out is to keep the gold in the bottom of the pan. It wants to be there, and the way to make that happen, take your pan, get some water in it, just agitate it. Shake it up, the gold will go right to the bottom. You can pour off any muddy water that comes up. When you can see in your pan, go ahead and get the big pieces of gravel out with your fingers. And then, give it another good shake. And working against the riffles, holding onto the smooth side, tilt your pan into the water about 45 degrees. The gold's in the bottom. In fact, there's a nugget sticking out right now. See that? And that means you can strip that gravel, that upper layer, right off, and the gold will stay there. And if you're worried about it staying there, shake it back down. And the idea is to winnow this down to a tablespoon or 2 of sand and fine rock fragments. And gravity and the riffles will help keep the gold in your pan. If you need to, help some of the pebbles out with your finger or thumb. Then pick up some water and gently swirl that sand from one side of your pan to the other. And the reason you want to be gentle is so you can leave the gold all by itself and the sand somewhere else. And this is what you're going to wind up with. Nuggets all by themselves in the bottom of the pan there. Okay, you need one of these too, don't you? All right. All right, go for it. Find your own Klondike gold.
Water.
Okay, now then.
All the...
You're going to dip your whole pan into the water.
And then, down to the little no, shake it over here.
Okay. Oh, you're doing good. What you want to do now is
do what I did.
shake it, just tilt it, don't drop anything out, just shake it really hard. Yeah, because what's happening is all that gold is going to sink down because it's heavier. Now you can pour that water out.
Take it back down to the bottom.
Still in your finger somewhere.
Continue to get that gravel out.
There you go. You're getting it. A couple big rocks for you. In fact, I see 3 flecks of gold. That's gold, and that's gold. So you're going to want to be careful and not stick yours too far down into the water.
Oh, no flame jumping. No flame jumping.
Oh, we couldn't find much, you know. That's all right.
What'd you find?
We shared it.
What did you find?
She found 2.
2? How many did you get?
and not just a fork in the way.
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. My gold.
Oh, come on. Should be properly outfitted.
Our storage tent. Our storage tent is not properly outfitted.
Should be.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you. You guys were great. Very entertaining.
Thanks.
Well, I'm going to Dawson City. Dawson City, here I come. Well, I'm going to Dawson City. Dawson City, here I come. They got a lot of golden nuggets there, and I'm going to get me some. Well, I'm going to land in Skagway. I'm headed up that Chilkoot Trail. Gonna land down in Skagway, head on up the Chilkoot Trail. When I get to Dawson City, you know my plan's never gonna fail. Well, I might take a boat, I might have to float, but if I gotta mush or ride a billy goat, I'm going to Dawson City. Dawson City, here I come. There's a lot of golden nuggets there, and I'm gonna get me some.
I went to my dentist, and he told me that because of my teeth, that I had the prettiest teeth on the planet. It's true. He tried, but he said, you know what? Why screw with perfection? He said, your teeth are so pretty right now, you don't need to do a single thing.
Well, I'm going to Dawson City. I'm going to drink that Dawson wine. If I don't ever get back, I said that'll be just fine, because I'm going to Dawson City. Dawson City, here I come. They got a lot of golden nuggets there, and I'm going to get me some.
Been a busy, busy day.
How do you feel right now?
I'm tired, hot, and would like to have lunch.
Silver, hi-ho, silver, hi-ho, silver, said hi-ho, silver, gone away and away and away and away, bye-bye. I said bye-bye, baby. Whoa, so long, my little girl. Bye-bye, so long, fare thee well.
I just want to say that it's been a pleasure working with all you stupid actors, and I like how you changed the script and do what you damn well want to do anyway, regardless of what I said. And basically you've made the show your own. So thanks a lot. It's been a real pleasure.
Let me introduce to you all my charming associate, Clementine, and my name is Jefferson Randolph Smith, though my associates just call me Jeff. You may have heard of it.
Oh, are you Soapy Smith?
Oh, well, some folks, they do call me that, yes.
Oh, well, I'll be hogtied. I hope to
Johnny.
find you. Well, one of your associates, Mr. Bowers, Reverend Bowers, told me to find you, and I got here to Skagway.
Oh, he did get here.
Uh-huh.
Good old Charlie. How fortunate for you, young,
Jedediah Robertson, but my family just calls me Jed.
Yeah, Jeremiah Robinson. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Well, aren't you a looker, huh?
Yes.
Where do you come from, cutie?
Illinois?
Illinois? Oh, I like a man who makes a little noise.
Anyone else here from Illinois today? No? Oh, good. Well, where is everyone from? I know we've got some up here from Pennsylvania, some from Phoenix, Arizona. Massachusetts? Fantastic, wonderful.
New York.
Where?
New York.
New York! Oh, well, I will try to speak very quickly for you then, try to fit it all in. Okay. And now, how about over here? Where we
Massachusetts.
Massachusetts with them, okay, in the back? Same, Massachusetts, then over here.
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles, fantastic, a little bit of everywhere. Well, the city fathers of this fair outpost from the great wide north have asked me to greet you all upon your arrival. Please be ensured that your every need shall be met and your every want fulfilled. My associates, like the good Reverend Bowers, right here, will see to it that you are all taken care of.
Well, I didn't know you were coming here too.
Last minute.
Now, I assume that you're probably eager to get on the trail and up to the gold fields as soon as possible. Is that right, Tom? I should say so. Then there are just a few things that you may wish to know before you start the trek further north. And I can tell you all from my own personal experience that it is a challenge of monumental proportions.
Oh, hazards abound at every turn in the trail. One wrong step and you could all be finished. Now, Jefferson,
yes.
weren't you telling me in your last telegram to me in Seattle that several of the water springs on the White Pass Trail have gone bad or even worse, poison?
Yes, Charlie, that's right.
Yeah.
And my friends, that is just one of the reasons why you must all be wet. But luckily, however, the Information Bureau, just down Broadway Street, sells maps which will show where those tainted springs can be found. That information will enable you to make a safe and healthy ascent. And friends, be sure to take the White Pass trip leading out of Skagway. Cannot stress that enough. The White Pass is a much safer and a much easier route than the Chilkoot Trail 10 miles away in Daiid.
Oh, Jefferson.
Yeah.
What about Telegrams home?
Oh, thank you, good Reverend. Yes, that's right. Now, do any of you have families or loved ones back at home? Yes. Okay, everybody's loved. I'm glad to hear that. You look like a lovable group of people. Well, if you'd like to send them a telegram at this time to let them know that you've arrived here safely, that can be done inside our telegraph office for a minimal fee.
Oh, well, I do.
Did you say something the other day?
Oh, no, it was me.
Oh, yes, of course.
Well, I would like to tell Annie Mae that I am making progress and made a large fortune on betrothal. I have this message all written out right here.
Oh, this is very nice. Now, your name was,
Jed.
That's right. Ted, why don't you give that to the good Reverend there? And he'll see to it that when the collector is back on the premises, that gets sent out on the wires as soon as possible. And we can guarantee to you a response to your sent telegram within 3 hours, and the cost is only $5. Real bargains we'll not find in Boston, Phoenix, Los Angeles, the capital of Pennsylvania, Springfield, Illinois. Apparently they're a little slower in Illinois.
$5.
Thank you. Now, my friends, I have to let you know that you are all going to need to acquire additional goods and supplies before you start your trip to Dawson, where the gold fields wait. In fact, Reverend, what do you think about, Oh, no, actually, how about, yes, Ned, why don't you step over there and try on that pocket?
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
You would look right. Don't you want to say?
Well, the Reverend pushed me.
Bite your tongue. That'd be the good Reverend. There, put your arm right through here.
Ah, looks like
How does that feel, Red?
Well, I can't
Now, I don't know if you can all hear him over there, but he's saying it's very comfortable.
No, I didn't.
That's right. It gets real cold up on that path, so you'll need a parka. Now, how does that feel, precious?
Well, it's kind of hard to breathe.
Oh, you're being
it's
silly.
perfect.
Maybe we have his hat. Try on. Now, Jefferson, I don't know if you can give me a hand. This thing is really heavy.
Absolutely.
So just lift with your knees.
Thank you. Oh, wow. That really is heavy.
Whoa, what is this?
There we go.
Oh, wow, this is really heavy.
There you go. Did you get
Maybe
that?
we could put it on somebody else instead.
Oh, they'll
Fantastic. Once again, the perfect fit. Now again, friends, you must be prepared before you start your journey to help with everything that you need. You can find right across the street here at the Merchants Exchange. Yes, those fine folks sell first quality goods, and they're very fairly priced. Yes, they have the best picks, pans, and cord goods this side of Seattle.
And the canned goods are excellent too.
Boots and outerwear are also available, as well as all your bibbles right over here.
Your Bibles, folks. Your Bibles.
I recommend caution, however, in patronizing the other merchants in town. Sadly, they are going to charge you top dollar for inferior goods. But once again, you must be ready. Excellent question, Fred. Now you are going to need help transporting your whole lot over the White Pass, as it is such a difficult undertaking. So I've arranged for you all a firm reliable packers to aid you in your transport. For small and reasonable fees, of course.
Yes, but money well spent.
That's right. They're all honest, God-fearing men of the highest degree of integrity. And the good Reverend here will gladly vouch for any one of them. Right, Reverend?
Oh, put that down, Clement Town. All right, how would you folks like to see a little bit of harmless entertainment? How does that sound? Sure. Yes, oh yeah, me too. Wonderful, all right. Oh, you two. All right, now let me see. I am going to need help from one of you.
Oh, I can help you.
Perhaps if somebody would like to volunteer.
Oh, well, I'll volunteer. I like to help.
Oh, isn't there any?
Oh, me in the back, waving the hat.
Oh, did you just raise your hand? Oh, fantastic. Wonderful. Now, what's your name? James? Yeah. Pleasure to meet you, James. Here's how this game. Could you just stand right up here so that everyone can see all right? I don't want anyone to miss a moment of this excitement. But here's how this game is played. Under this shell and under this shell, James, I have nothing. However, under this shell, I have a small rock. We're just going to refer to it as a P. I lost the P in the Great P Fire last month. Very tragic. However, I'm going to move all these shells around very quickly. What you're going to do is keep your eyes on this particular shell and tell me where it lands when I'm done. Do you think that you can do that? Yes, he can.
Yes,
all right,
he can.
fantastic. One last time. There you go. One more time. And here we go. Off to a good start. Now, one more time for luck. Not your luck. Now, we get a little faster. You start to get dizzy, you get confused, and you lost track of the shell. Now, point to the shell that you think is
bucket in the back.
bucket in the back. I have no bucket in the back. The middle one, it is under one of these. He's saying it's the middle one, even though he doesn't believe that it's under any of them. However, we'll see. Oh, look at that! Right in the way and wrong in a way. But very good. Congratulations. You were right about it being under the shell. Which is very good. No one has usually done that in about a month.
Oh, well, I bet I can do that.
Oh, yeah?
Uh-huh.
Wonderful. Why don't you go back over there? You're a little too bright and observant for me. Now, all right. I propose that you and I would make this game just a little bit more interesting. How's that sound? Yeah?
Okay.
Yeah. You and I will make a small wager then. Let's say $5.
Oh, no, I really shouldn't.
Yes.
Oh, sure you should,
No,
sweetie.
but...
Oh, do it for me, Sugar Lip.
Well,
Do it for your Annie Mae.
oh, okay. For Annie Mae. Well, was this game easy? Oh, very easy. Oh, good, because I don't want to lose my $5, so I'm going to need everybody's help.
Oh, nonsense. I'm trying to lose my $5. Just put it right there. Fantastic. All right, now. There we go. There's the rock. There's nothing. There is no bucket behind my table. Now, watch carefully. Here we go. All right. Yeah, off to a good start. Now, one more time for luck. My luck, however, not your luck. Now we get a little faster. You start to get dizzy and you get confused and you lose track of the shell. Now, what was the one that you think it's under?
Well, I think it was the middle one again, wasn't it? It was. Oh,
Yes.
well, the middle one
The
then.
middle one then.
Oh!
No, actually, it was under that shell.
Don't you worry about that, honey. There's plenty more money where that came from.
I'm so sorry, Jedediah. Better luck next time.
But it looks so easy.
No looks can be deceiving.
Oh, ain't that the truth?
Now, friends, on a more serious note, however, well, I realize we've only known each other very briefly, but well, I feel very close to you all, and if any of you should suffer the unfortunate experience of encountering some form of disaster,
God forbid!
yes, it leaves you extremely embarrassed for lack of funds, and you must return home, then please note, the cut rate ticket office just right down the street here, because these kind and generous folks will find a way to get you on a ship and back to the States, regardless of your financial situation. Now, if we have any investors here, there's a bridge for sale, and it's right at the end of town.
No, Rivals.
Oh, well, yes, oh, my, look at the time. I just realized that I have to go check the progress of this young man's telegram.
Oh, well, 3 hours.
Certainly. However, it's been a real pleasure chatting with all of you, and I hope that you all enjoy your stay in Skagway.
Be sure to take the white pass trailer.
Now I will be right back, Snuggle Pea.
I think she likes me.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Skagway. I'm Sergeant Porter of the Northwest Mounted Police. It's also my pleasure to welcome you to Canada, as many of you will soon be entering our beautiful country. Now, there are a couple things you need to know. The first is that our government, in order for you to survive unaided in the Yukon Territory, has now made it mandatory that each of you possess a certain quantity of goods and provisions, 1 ton each to be exact. That's the 1 ton law. Now, you must demonstrate that you have this ton of goods or you will not be allowed to enter our country. You should have been given a list of the necessary provisions. I can see you have it there, ma'am, may I? You may want to check over this list to make sure you are totally prepared and equipped. For example, ma'am, do you have 400 pounds of flour with you? Right there, 200 pounds of bacon. That's an amazing bag. Wonderful. Make sure you are completely prepared, however. I must also in good conscience point out something. The gentleman you were listening to when I first arrived is none other than the infamous Jefferson Randolph Smith.
But he gave us some invaluable information to aid us.
Be careful how much of what you heard him say that you take to heart. The man that they call Soapy Smith is one of the slickest con men in all of North America. I'm sure he recommended businesses to aid you on your journey. I'm equally sure that all of those businesses are controlled by him, and none of them are legitimate.
None of them? Well, what about my telegram?
Son, there are no telegraph wires coming into Skagway. And the ones coming out of the back of this telegraph office go right to the canal.
Oh. Well, then what about the men that will help us with our goods over the pass? The reliable packers.
People who take their goods to the reliable packers never see them again, unless it's in the merchant's exchange the next day. And I'm sure Soapy recommended you take the White Pass Trail as well?
Why, yes, he did. Well, how did you know that?
Soapy wants you to take the White Pass Trail, folks, instead of the Chilkoot Trail. Because he has henchmen.
Frenchmen? What? Did you just say Frenchmen? What did he say?
Henchmen.
I need to listen better.
Yes. Henchmen placed all along the trail, ready to do you in, steal your supplies. You'll be much better off on the Chilkoot Trail, folks. I'm sorry. I know this isn't a very pleasant welcome to Skagway, but you need to be aware of the dangers involved in your journey. But if you're ready to begin your journey, please follow me up these steps, and I will help you to begin your journey.